Over the past 3 years, I have interfaced with over 100 leaders, and the discussion behind the engagement is always about, we are not able to make the right decisions. My leaders are not able to make the right decisions. And once we do a bit of an investigation, we realize it's an issue of decision velocity. How quickly are the right decisions being made at the right level and by the right people? Basically, that's what decision velocity is about. Who is making the decision, and how quickly do we move that decision from an idea or a decision, so to speak, into an implementation and the outcomes that the decision is supposed to give. So today I'm going to talk to you about why decision velocity is always a problem and what you can do to remove the blockages around decisions that delay decision outcomes. All right, so when we talk decision making, we are looking at, do we have the right information for us to make a decision? Do we have the right people who have the good context, the knowledge, the skills to make the right decision? And lastly, do we have a framework that helps us make decisions? If we don't have that, that's when we have decision blockages along this line. So the first blockage, which I'll call B1, would be the level of decision maker. The level of decision maker determines whether the right decision is going to be made and whether it is actually going to be implemented. So when we don't have the correct level, it can either be someone who is below the level of the decision maker that is required for a decision, or someone who is too high for the decision that is required. So if we have someone who is below the level, we are going to have decisions that come here. They can't make a decisive action plan, or even they can't put together an execution plan based on the information they have. Let me give you an example. You have an entry-level leader, right? And they are great at what they do technically. They were promoted from a sales, making the most or highest sales as a salesperson. And now they get into being a sales manager. So now when we do want to make a decision about the sales approach we are going with, if we ask that person, they may not be able to tell us what actually works for the team and what will get the company to go forward. So we are asking someone who's too low for that decision. That decision is usually from maybe the founder or the executive or the strategy document that shows us the approach that we're going to go with. This person, when they were an excellent salesperson, it's because they were told what to do, basically through strategy execution. These are the industries we are reaching out for. This is our buyer persona. So they knew and just followed through that. Now, if you want them to tell you an approach, they are too low for the decision. Sometimes a decision maker is too high for the decision that we want to make, and there we waste a lot of time. So for instance, you want to decide how many, maybe can we work from home, which is the most common thing these days, well, at least in my circles. Can we work from home? And then people start wondering, maybe let's ask the CEO if we can work from home. Really? Are you going to wait for the CEO to determine a hybrid working environment? Something that can be determined by a line manager, because it's not really about where people work, isn't it? It's about the key reasons of collaboration, of output being met, and all those are areas of the line manager rather than the CEO. So this actually delays decisions because you're waiting for a high power to focus on your things. And to the CEO, that's priority number 658 because they have so much that they are focused on that moves the needle rather than why a certain division should get a hybrid working environment, really. All right, so level of person that is making the decision. The second blocker, which I'll call B2 here, is actually about nominal authority. What do I mean by this? Are the people that are expected to make decisions actually the authority powers towards a decision? We see that a lot, especially when we interact with human capital managers, HR managers. Some of them actually seem not to have the actual authority to make a solution that deals with human capital. I'll give you a simple example. We want to implement a culture, a culture review, which is maybe something that they do every 2 or 3 years. We go to an HR manager, and the HR manager says, I need the board to approve, or I need the EXCO to approve. And now I'm wondering, this is a very low risk decision that someone from your department has suggested, and you can't even give the go-ahead to do it. It already tells me you have nominal authority. You are HR manager on paper, and you actually don't have any authority towards decision making. And this is actually a company architectural problem where a business has put so much time and value in titles and not defining levels of authority or maybe decision rights that a certain topic has. So this then, this HR administrator comes up with a brilliant idea. Let's do a culture survey, right? And you would think the manager would say yes or no, but no, they say, I'm going to have to take it to that high level, and that delays decisions. But what actually is worse is that this HR manager doesn't pick up the phone and say to the CEO or to the general manager, we want to do this. They wait for a meeting that is scheduled for next week, Friday. So come next week, Friday, instead of focusing on key things that move the needle, they are bringing these whole decisions that have been on queue. And this is the HR manager. Now the operations manager has their own. The sales manager has their own. So meetings become like a decision queue rather than a way to push forward the strategy and the execution of an organization. So it's important to know that if someone has a title, they must also have the authority that goes with their title. The biggest blocker for me here would be, all right, we have gotten a decision at the correct level. We have real authority in our leaders. But now, which I call B3, which to me is the hardest one to solve and the most important one to consider. This is the decision frameworks. Most organizations don't have decision frameworks. They do not have a clear understanding, or there's no clear understanding in individuals and employees of how decisions come to be made. For instance, a simple decision framework is a hiring process or hiring policy, hiring protocol. How do we decide who we are going to hire? Do we take out the job ad? Do we do this and that and that? Most SOPs actually play the role of decision frameworks because within the structure of the SOP, you can make a decision of what actually needs to be done. Right. All right. So this is the blocked decision state, which is where a lot of leaders and departments and businesses fall in. And this is the flow state of decisions. In this flow state, here, the right person makes the decision. So it's the right decision maker. When we get to here, the people that really have authority do make decisions. And this is where the fail forward or fail fast theories come from. So if someone with authority to make a decision makes the wrong decision, it's not a train smash because they have learned on what the wrong decision will look like. But if they are protected from making that decision, they're always going to use the same mentality they had of imaginations of what could be done right, and they obviously sometimes overstate their importance, and they're always saying, I don't know why my management is not seeing this because me, I see this, but meanwhile they just haven't been given the opportunity to fail. So when the right people with authority get to make decisions, if they fail, great, they learn. If they win, great, the decision velocity is higher and at the level that we want. So here, give authority to the right people. And I'm saying right people here. But it could actually be give authority to people, especially in founder-led businesses. There are so many founders who are still hogging all decisions and have not seeded down decision rights, and this is blocking your decision velocity. And lastly, you need the frameworks that help you to make good decisions. And this is where I'm going to share with you one of our very successful and one of my favorite, the decision matrix. The decision matrix sits on the assumption of stake, how high are the stakes, and reversibility. This one is amazing for founder-led businesses or small teams where you want to push decision velocity, but you also don't want to do it irresponsibly. So the higher the stakes and the less reversible a thing is, the more difficult or the more responsibility is given to key people. But if stakes are low and reversibility is high, honestly, this should be a paper-based decision, right? All right, so let me show you what this looks like. So when stakes are low and there is high reversibility, this is the area where policy plays a role. You know, don't waste time discussing this issue here. Just refer to the policy. Okay, somebody comes up and says to me, can I take 4 days away because my helper is not available at home and I want to take leave? And I want to work from home. You don't need to debate that. The thing is, what does our policy say? Do we have a work from home policy? No, we don't. Or yes, we do. What are the conditions? Have you met them? Yes or no? Okay, do you want to take family responsibility? You can't, because this is not really to do with your immediate family. You are just going there to assist your helper's child and not your immediate. So this area to me is the easiest one of decision making, and yet managers don't even know the policies that are in the company. All right, fair enough, you can talk about leave policy, sick leave, and all those common policies that everyone knows. How about policies like sexual harassment? How do you deal with sexual harassment? What do you define as sexual harassment? Is it aligned with the international standards? All leaders and managers need to acquaint themselves with policies, and all business owners need to invest time in doing a policy bank that your leaders can draw out of to make decisions that are low stakes and can be reversible easily. And I've always told people that this is a no discussion zone. What does the policy say? It says we start at 8, you've been late for 3 consecutive days. What does the policy say? We take you through the disciplinary process. No discussion. It's clear to both the recipient and the person who's making the decision. All right, and then when stakes are high, but reversibility is also high, this is where you decide fast and learn fast. It's the fail fast area. For instance, we are launching a new product into the market. It's a software product, or maybe we are adding another element to our software, products. Implement fast. Don't take time to sit down and hurdle up and come up with an idea. If you are the founder and have the technical capacity, do it fast. And if it's not working, it can be reversed easily. So there is no need to take time before you implement such a decision. In a day-to-day management task, this looks like a decision about which chairs do we want to buy for the office, right? Instead of taking 3 meetings and 10 hours on ChatGPT, taking pictures and saying, is this best? You can always return the chairs if you don't like them. So do it fast. High stakes, yes, because people need comfort and they need to sit and the office needs to look nice. Reversibility vary because we can return them if the office or the people don't like it. So this is how you would deal with this side of high reversibility of decisions. If I am to move on now to where I think we can make big errors, and this is probably where decision energy may need to be spent a bit more, where stakes are low, yes, but it is not reversible. This can be, for instance, taking an intern onto the team. Stakes are low, they're not likely to make big mistakes, but once we sign that we have an employee and they don't perform, it's going to be very difficult to reverse that decision. So in the decision matrix, how do you deal with such a decision? How I would say is push it down and don't touch it. In other words, if you are the senior leader, delegate. Delegate to the office manager or to the direct supervisor on who they want to hire. Just push it down. Don't try and help them in the decision. If you're going to hire a new sales call center agent, as a head of the business, delegate it to the team leader of the call center, because to them the stakes are actually high. Do you realize it? But to the business, that is a reversibility is difficult because this is hiring a person. High stakes and low reversibility. This one is a big one, and you do need to then come to the meeting about this. So this is where I would have small groups in the form maybe of a meeting or a team huddle, a deep analysis that needs to be done, brainstorming, that needs to be done in this high stakes and low reversibility, because this is what kills or grows a business. However, what is happening in a lot of businesses is we are taking every decision that can be automated with policies, that can be delegated to the lower team, and that can be iterated through reversing, trying again, and putting it into this high deliberative zone where meetings happen. And this is where we waste our time through that decision velocity, which I spoke about. I hope this schema will help you to put in what it is that you need to spend more time deciding, and what it is you want to delegate to the team, and what it is that you do need a meeting or a couple of meetings for, because it is high stakes and low reversibility. All right, I'm keen to hear how you have made decisions in your team, and what actually slows the velocity. Is it because you don't have decision frameworks? Is it because the people that seemingly have the authority just have nominal authority, they can't really make a decision? Or is it because you don't know what level a decision needs to lie? This matrix will help you to solve most of those problems. Thank you for watching, and happy decision making.